Gonna need a gap filler. Gonna need a puddle sucker too. Might also need a Jenny.
And another Sanger.
Whatever you need, Coates Hire has a million pieces of equipment. Call 13 15 52.
What's your favourite part of Winton Motor Raceway?
Oh, do I have to tell you? Leaving on Sunday night.
Well, I think the fastest corner is the big long sweeper, big long left-hander, and that's certainly the highlight of the lap. The car doesn't really want to make it in there, and if you can make it in there and you've got to make the apex at the back of the corner, it's always very interesting.
Probably going through the back straight. It's very fast and it's good. Russell Engel went side by side with someone I remember last year. It's really good fun.
Definitely the best part, I think, is the people. There's no doubt about it. Country people, a lot friendlier, very nice, and they definitely make you feel welcome.
I think the new part of the circuit, it allows for a few more passing moves and more heavier braking. I mean, it's much better than what it used to be, the flow into the corners and flow out. So the new part of the circuit, they've done a good job with that.
Well, I suppose it'd have to be the wineries up around the Glenrowan district. I think there's some really, really good wines come out of there, and it's really good to visit and just see where Ned Kelly came from. There's a lot of them in motor racing, though.
Thanks for joining us for round 10 of the Shell Championship Series. It is the last round in Victoria for 1999. And have a look at that, the field spreading all the way back to what is now the new pit straight as we check out the Shell Helix grid. Jason Bargwanna, his very first V8 pole position alongside teammate Garth Tander. Engel is going very quick here. Bright, Bow, Murphy, Longhurst and John Faulkner is one to watch today too. Very quick in the morning warm-up.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's some heavy hitters behind them, though. Look at the Holden Racing Team cars. Mark Scaife back there in 10th position. Craig Lowndes in 14th. Word from Lowndes is the leg, the repaired leg after an injury from Calder. That's okay. That's not what's costing him time. They're having trouble with setup. They can't get the car, can't get the speed out of the car. So he's got a lot of work to do today.
We'll take a look at the full grid. Back in 17 is Neil Crompton, who admits he completely got qualifying wrong. We'll talk more about that later. He was a bit down on himself, and he's ahead of Dick Johnson.
David Truckee Parsons starts alongside Nathan Preddy, Nick Donoghue, Paul Wheel, Rod Nash, Darren Pate, Paul Romano right back there on the 16th row alongside Anthony Tratt.
18-year-old Leighton Cranbrook ahead of Brisbane's Craig Harris, Skippy Parsons and Adelaide-based driver Chris Smurden. We in fact have 41 V8 Supercars here, but a maximum grid capacity of 36. Cam McConville, it's I guess it's a shame to see you up here with us commentating. I know you'd much rather be out there, but we're in for an exciting day here.
We certainly are, Lee. I'd much rather be out there than Symmons Plains 2 weeks ago, I can assure you. It's a lovely sunny day here, so I think Winton always produces close action, and I'm sure we'll see some of that today.
Arguably, it was the round of 1998. We'll see what it's got for us in 1999. As always, at the beginning of the telecast, we'll give you the view from the various in-car cameras. The Mitre 10 in-car camera of Mark Larkham. Before that was the Ford in-car of Glenn Seaton. The Be Clear and Simple in-car camera for John Bow. And here is the man who's been the biggest mover in the championship, Mark Scaife, who is now just 40 points in arrears of his teammate Craig Lowndes.
He's going to have to do some big moves today, though, Lee. Sitting back there in 10th position. Bit of a lottery here with the tyres. Let's have a look at the Bridgestone race analysis from Winton Raceway. 36 starters, the maximum full grid here. Race distance 3 15-lappers, 45 kilometres distance. Qualifying 1st to 15th, covered by less than 1 second. Blink and you'll miss it. 1998 winner, of course, John Bow, his only win for the Shell team last year.
A few of the guys doing some practice starts. I'd like to talk a little bit about the track too, Cam. I mean, it's going to be so tough with this much traffic.
Yeah, it will be, Lee. It's there are some passing opportunities, not a lot around this circuit, but mainly under brakes, and you can see the guys really warming up the tyres a lot, because that's important at this track. A lot of cold graining of the tyres, which we'll talk about too as the race goes on. Well,
there is not much free space left here at Winton today. Massive traffic jams getting in.
So the road outside.
Oh,
shockers.
So many people, and everybody here in Victoria's northeast. You can see it's a cloudless day. Yesterday was exactly the same. A light shower on Friday evening, but the whole weekend has just been delightful. And normally when you come to Winton, you bring your winter woolies. Everybody's just walking around in normal shirts and T-shirts this weekend.
Here's the battle. Two Valvoline Cummins Commodores on the front row of the grid. Garth Tander on the outside in the brand new VT machine. It's been quick here straight out of the box. Jason Bargwanna alongside on pole position. His first pole in the Shell Championship Series. Can he convert that into his first Shell Series round win?
We're getting set for a start. It's not too far away. The revs build. This is round 10 of the Shell Championship Series. It's an all Valvoline front row. Hitting the rev limiters, bouncing off the rev limiters. Away we go, and it's Bargwanna clearly in front. Bright storms on the inside. What a start by Jason Bright and Russell Ingall. And Tander has gone from second back to fourth. Murphy got away to a flyer. Faulkner a good start too.
Yeah, good start from Craig Lowndes as we go to our cherry picker shot right above the track. There's a bit of a contact there at turn 2.
That's
one of
Crompton.
the Ford credit cars. Neil Crompton, car 6, right back in the order. And that's always the price you pay, Cameron McConville, for not qualifying strongly.
Certainly is. You're in it. It's a bit of a lottery, really, to be honest. If you're in the first corner there, everything's congested, and Neil may have got a hit from behind. It certainly looked that way.
You've only got to turn the clock back just 2 years. That is one of the Parsons. That is Skippy, I believe. And Leighton Cranbrook, they've come together. Saying you only have to turn the clock back 2 years. And these two guys that are leading, that are battling at the front of this race, Bargwanna and Bright, were here in Formula Holdens the year that they ran 1 and 2 in that championship. Now they're leading the first race of 3 here at the Shell Championship Series, the Winton round. Look at Bright already starting to menace the back of the Valvoline Cummins VT.
Jason Bargwanna, our 7th pole winner from 10 rounds so far, ultra competitive. The Shell Championship Series in 1999. We've been waiting for these other teams to get their act together. They've really closed the gap to the Mobile Holden Racing team, which is struggling here today. Russell Ingall sitting back there in 3rd position. Bright climbing all over the back with the Valvoline Commodore of our pole position man, Jason Bargwanna.
Tander's through on the inside of Ingall. Great move going into the Motorsport S's. So he's now up into 3rd, and here comes Greg Murphy on the inside of Ingall. This will be interesting as they head down into turn 1. Murphy already challenging after starting 6th. The end of lap 1, Bargwanna still leads from Bright. Tander and Murphy is through, so the move came off. Ingall now back to 5th.
Yeah, Murph's really on the charge here, continuing the good form they showed at Simmons Plains. Oh no, he's come off! He's come into the sweeper way too hot. What happened there?
Very strange. It looked like... Oh, there's cars going. There must be something on the road there. There has to be something on the ground, dirt or something.
Looks like an ant.
We've lost most of it. Is that that looks like Scapey too, coming back on the road. So maybe I'd say Murph was first on the scene and they've all speared off. We'll have to have a look on the replay.
Well, yesterday when Jason Bargwanna left the circuit, there was mud all over the circuit there from where somebody else went off.
Just looking out of the commentary box, you can't quite see it on the cameras now, but there is mud all over that turn 3. And that's what sent them off. They went everywhere.
Well, you can bet that the spotters will be getting on the radio to the drivers immediately, especially these front runners, and saying, take it easy, settle down through the sweeper, as Tander gives Bright a little bit of a nudge and a second one.
Yeah, he's hot to trot. He's charging. This car has been very fast straight out of the workshop. Tander's been very excited in the build-up to this race. He's been testing it privately and said this car has a lot of speed, particularly on the home test track. Well, he's proving it here, up to 3rd position as he tries to find a way past the perfect court of Jason Bright.
Well, they got a bad start, Garth, but he's certainly got the speed. I think he and Jason, and also Russell Ingall, will have to be the favourites to do well here this weekend. I'd say looks like Jason's holding him up, or Jason Bright, that is starting to hold them up. So Garth really has to find a way past as quickly as he can.
Here we go. We join Russell Ingall, the enforcer in the Castrol SLX car. There's the mud. There's all the debris on the circuit. And they get through that section safely. This is a great view here, watching Garth Tander try and find a way past on Jason Bright. This is at the top end of the Winton circuit, where they call heading around the gum tree before they head back onto the old back straight. Russell Ingall now the inside move on Tander. And look at Longhurst. He's up there into 5th now.
Well, they're really struggling for grip. Just going by that in-car camera there, Lee, you can hear Russell's now on full power up the back straight, right up through the gears, but he was really off the gas right through the sweeper and up into the Penrite corner there. So you can see them all moving around. So the tyres still not really up to temperature yet.
And look at the lap times too, Cameron. A 1:28.10 for our race leader, Jason Bargwanna. That's about 4 seconds off the lap record.
Well, courtesy all of those cars disappearing off the circuit, the big winner there has been Dick Johnson. He's come from 18th to 7th. And Radicic is there. Here's the Shell Helix replay.
We're looking at the replay now, and there must be at least 6 or 7 cars that went off there. It's hard to tell whether there was a lot of dirt down. And oh, that looks like John Faulkner, I think, having a big loser, making contact with the back of Seaton.
Was it one of the
No, it was Stephen Richards, you're right.
Faulkner's off there too, though. Look, there's Scaife.
I'd say that the first 2 or 3 have obviously brought more debris onto the circuit for the rest of the cars coming through, but it's hard to see actually how the debris and the dirt went down in the first place.
Tander has got by Bright, so the 2 Valvoline cars back in the top 2 positions, then Bright, then Russell Ingall. Now Craig Lowndes, word from the pits, is in pit lane, getting the car seen to. Paul Radicic has come right up as well from starting in 11th. Radicic is there into 6th.
Good battle as they come through the tree once again. Very, very tight part of the circuit here, around the gum tree they call it. Strathfield hairpin up towards Repco corner. To fire down Dunlop Straight. It must be very difficult in this sort of track condition, Cameron McConville. You're looking to try and change position. Here's a big attack on the outside by Tander on his teammate Bargwanna. Bargwanna positioned on the inside. Tander has to duck back in again. Right up behind him. Ingall in there too.
Well, he might be able to get this switchback manoeuvre, which he wasn't able to achieve there, but got to get maximum drive out of that corner to get a good run down here at the end of the straight. But this is really what we expect from Winton Raceway, close racing, particularly in the first half of the race.
Word from the pits, Glenn Seaton is out. That would be courtesy of that incident, the off-track incident when we saw him hit by a Winds car. It is Bargwanna, Tander. The Pertec Ford of Bright, Ingall, Longhurst and Radicic is catching up dramatically in 6th position. He is right on the end of this group as we join Russell Ingall. The inside run on Jason Bright down into turn 1. Gotcha.
Got him.
Oh, that's a good move.
Great move. He set it up on the exit of the S's onto the straight there. Jason had a little bit of oversteer on the exit of the corner, and I'm just really surprised at this stage at the lap times. Quite slow and conservative at this early stage of the race.
Yeah, some 4 seconds off lap record pace at the moment at 1:24 neat for Russell Ingall, the current lap record, but these guys are way off that pace at the moment. Really struggling for grip. Had this problem with the Bridgestone control tyre at a couple of rounds this year when the temperatures are low and the cars don't generate a lot of tyre temperature. The tyre tends to grain and then they lose all sorts of things. The car becomes very slippery. They really struggle for lap times, and that's what's happening here. Oh, John Bowie's got a fire on board the Caterpillar Falcon. That's in pit lane. Fire extinguishers at the ready, I hope. I hope that's fire extinguisher foam. But John Bow, the major inferno happening under the car.
Well, we were expecting an action-packed day. We have had it all already in race 1 as the 2 teammates go at it again. Bargwanna versus Tander. The 27-year-old Bargwanna up against his 22-year-old teammate Garth Tander. This is down the new pit straight, heading into the Motorsport S's, then back up onto the old main straight.
Well, it's just amazing, Cameron, when you look at the dominance of the Mobile Holden Racing Team cars early in the season. Who would have thought by toward the end of it you'd see this sort of situation?
Well, it's great. I mean, that's what V8 Supercar racing is all about. But certainly the Holden Racing Team strategy was to be conservative in this first race, to look after the tyres and hope that the field comes back to them. But unfortunately, it's not working to plan at the moment for them.
I think 2 guys for the first time. That's Cameron McLean. He was running in 9th position, and he is out.
That's something you don't often see. He was in trouble at Symonds Plains when he spun off down the end of the back straight. Now he's up against the concrete at turn 3, but it looks like he's getting back into the action, so he's okay. Word from the pits is there wasn't a fire on board the Caterpillar Ford. It was actually a ruptured radiator, and that was steam pouring out of the engine bay.
The first 3 drivers in this race are all, as we have a look at the replay here with
Cam's
McLean.
gone right down the inside. And I think he actually squeezed Larry for room there. Definitely, he was past, but also tried to push Larry out wide so Larry would brake earlier. Larry really held his ground and stayed in a straight line, so perhaps Cam just squeezed him a little bit for room there.
First 3 guys in this race, all test here. This is their home test circuit. Probably the first time we've seen in this year's championship that home test track advantage coming to the fore.
Well, this circuit, the bitumen surface, is quite different to any other circuit in Australia, except for perhaps Ipswich, Queensland Raceway, which is quite similar, but it has caught a lot of teams out this weekend. The local teams, like obviously Valvoline and Russell Ingall and Larry, have had a huge advantage, and it's showing now.
1-2 off the grid, 1-2 on the track as Perkins comes into pit lane now. So many cars have visited the pits. We've seen already quite a few dropouts from this opening race. Plenty of action.
Looks like the tyres are starting to come into their own now. A little more temperature at 1:25.21 for Bargwanna, so he's brought it down 3 seconds or so. So starting to get down toward a more competitive pace, but still a long way away from the lap record. As Bargwanna defends from his teammate Garth Tander, Russell Ingall in 3rd position. Judging by that move he put on Bright, Russell's really on fire today.
And three guys who would be absolutely pinching themselves at the moment. Steve Reed, Nathan Pretty and Mick Donoher are running 8th, 9th and 10th. So tremendous run for them, of course. They were elevated dramatically when we lost about 6 or 7 cars. As we take a drift back through the field, there's Radicic behind Longhurst. This is Dick Johnson and Mark Larkham.
Looks like Dick's been in a battle too. His driver's side mirror dangling off the door there. So the typical Winton body damage that we see so often at this Victorian track. There's Mark Scaife sitting right back in the order. So it has not been a good start to the weekend for the Mobile Holden racing team.
You're right, Mark. It's interesting that Craig's also back out there, and he set the second fastest time of the race so far on his previous lap. So they're back out there trying to make up time, but those times of the front couple of cars being 125s are quite slow, so they're obviously really worried about the tyres lasting the 3-race distance this weekend and driving conservatively as a result.
On board with Mark Scaife, currently 14th behind Paul Romano. That's the battle just up ahead now. Romano, who's got through on Rod Nash, so here comes Scaife. He's got a little bit of work to do as Rod Nash gets it very much sideways. And Scaife picks up an extra position. So he now moves up into 13th. Around the back part of the circuit. Well, quite an unbelievable start to race 1. We've got 2 more and the remainder of this one after the break. But Bargwanna still leads the way from teammate Tander. Steve Reed running strong in 8th. We take a look back in 9th. It is Nathan Pretty, Mick Donoher, and all the way back to Darren Pate in 16th. You're watching first time pole sitter and race leader. Valvoline, Gary Rogers' car, the VT of Jason Bargwanna, leading the way here at Winton in rural Victoria. He's got a handy buffer over his teammate Garth Tander. He's pulled out quite considerably. So that margin there, look at that. Life is a lot more comfortable now for Jason Bargwanna as Tander handles the challenge from Ingle and Bright.
It's just extraordinary though to see Glenn Seaton 3rd in the points and Jason Bright 5th in the points when you look at the results. The Falcons have been monstered this year. When you look at it, 24 race wins to Holden, 2 race wins to Ford, and yet they're so high up in the battle. It just shows consistency pays off.
That's the word, isn't it? Stone Brothers feeling quite confident here this weekend. They said everything was right. They were feeling good about it, and they need the points as Bright pulls out of the draft now. This is the fastest section on the circuit, reaching 230, close to 240 down here into a very tight Motorsport S's before the run onto the main straight. Ingle maintaining that 3rd position quite well at the moment.
Down to Holden corner, Jason Bright goes around on the inside. He's hard under brakes and he gets him. So Ingle moves back another position. This is a great battle for 3rd between the Ford and the Holden.
Well, he set that one up back through the S's, really, and exactly actually as Russell passed Jason earlier on. So great run out of the S's. Very important to obviously determine your speed up the straight and set up the move under brakes.
See where they came through that section. There's still a lot of mud through that left-hand sweeper as Bright is now right with Tander. The order Bargwanna, Tander, Bright, Ingle, Longhurst and Radicic. They're having a good battle for the minor placings. Johnson, Reed, Pretty and Scaife has now got himself into the top 10 after that early incident when he ran off. But look at Jason Bright, clearly faster than Garth Tander as they come down into the tight left-hander. The run onto the extension, the new extension here at Winton.
I don't know what's happened to Russell there, but he's dropped way off the back of these two after getting passed by Jason Bright. So hopefully Ingle can gather it up, and Bright really getting very intense in this battle up the inside. A beautiful move. I think he caught him napping there, Cameron.
Yeah, well, he got a great run out of the right-hander at the end of the back straight there, and I just wonder whether Jason Bright has been looking after his tyres in the early half of this race and has decided to press on, because the car is looking very, very quick and quite well balanced too. You notice it's not sliding around. He's got excellent drive, and that's helped him really the last 2 passing manoeuvres.
5 laps remaining for our race leader, Jason Bargwanna. Russell Ingle back to 4th position. Bargwanna, the fastest man on the track. A 1:25.56 for our race leader. So that Valvoline Cummins Commodore working particularly well at Winton.
Well, speaking of working well, how well is Paul Radicic going? From 11th up to 5th. He's got through on Tony Longhurst. Craig Lowndes is back in 21st position behind Cameron McLean. So there's quite a few drivers with some work to do in race 2, but Radicic will be pleased after becoming only the second driver ever not to score a solitary point after starting a round from pole position. His round at Symmons Plains was disastrous, to say the least, and he was disappointed with that, but this will bring a smile to his face. Has worked his way through. He knew he had his work cut out at the start of the day, but a 5th in race 1 will set him up nicely for the remainder of the day.
Well, you're a teammate with Paul Radicic back in 1993, Cam. He strikes me as a real hard charger.
Without a doubt, Mark, he is a very, very aggressive driver, and I think that shows with his qualifying speed as we see Craig right up on the back of Cameron McLean, in fact just about pushing him through the right-hander there. And Cam's not an easy guy to pass, I've got to say, so this will be interesting. You can see the power there of the Falcon just stretching its legs, and Cameron has had very strong engines all year.
So let's see if Craig Lowndes, he's just very good at putting points together though. He's outside of them at the moment, but if he can just continue to push hard, he's probably going to snaffle a few more points and keep that championship lead. It's going to be a struggle today though. This car has not been working for him all weekend.
Well, they've got the car running so soft now, Mark. It looked like a motorbike out of that back corner there. It's really soft. You can see the car transfers its weight onto the back wheel very quickly to obviously increase the power down out of the corner. Obviously, though, as a result, it picks up the front end of the car. So there really are, and he has a look down the inside. Looks like Craig's going to get through.
Oh, Cameron wants to argue, but he hasn't quite got the real estate on the outside there. So Lowndes picks up another position.
Talking with Matthew Crawford from the Mobile Holden Racing team earlier, he was saying this is just one of those places where we just don't seem to go well, and he said we've tried everything as they get a little bit of air heading up the back part of the Winton circuit. He said we're just going to have to cop it on the chin this weekend and just try for points.
The interesting thing too, Cameron, is that a lot of the teams talk about the rear suspension geometry and the VS being better suited to low-speed circuits with good power down compared to the VT, but this car, I'm quite surprised to see how much it's struggling.
That is very surprising, and I think that comes down to the tyres too, Mark, that this cold graining effect where the tyre actually pushes the tread right across the whole surface of the tyre and then grains up, and you can see there the left front wheel picking up. So as a result, to use the tyres longer for the race, they have to run a very, very soft setup, and you generally lose car speed when you do that.
What an intriguing battle this is. Dick Johnson in his farewell drive in Victoria with 3 laps to go. Privateer Steve Reed makes the inside run on Johnson. So Reed is now up into 7th position and had an unbelievably strong run yesterday in the Privateers race as Johnson drifts wide and Nathan Pretty comes through in the DeWalt Commodore. So he is now up into 8th position.
Well, you see the VS, the older VS doing well, as you said, Mark. They do run slightly shorter rear suspension arms than, say, a VT car, and just as we said that, Steve Reed's thrown it away.
That now hands over the top Privateer spot to Nathan Pretty. The Oscar driver is relatively new to V8 Supercars, and Steve just can't get off the grass.
Well, he was talking about the bits he didn't like about Winton. It was up around the gum tree here. He said you could tend to get lost in the bush up there. Well, he's having a bit of trouble getting back onto the track, but he's okay now.
Well, that's disappointing for Steve. It was a very strong run.
He'll be kicking himself now.
But there's plenty of pressure on Dick Johnson further back too, because Scape is right there, and a group, there's about 3 or 4 cars there as we go back to race leader Jason Bargwanna. What a clear run it has been from pole position with 2 laps to go. He is well placed to pick up another career victory.
Well, let's see what happened here. I'd say he may have dropped a wheel. Way too much car speed. Yeah, it looked like he dropped the wheel on the way into the corner. There was an oil flag out there, though, that I could just pick up as he went through. It's probably a little bit late in the corner, but perhaps went in a little bit too quick, ran wide on the turn into the corner, and really was nowhere near the apex. So, but perhaps a little bit of oil or something slippery down certainly didn't help the cause.
Well, this man is the class of the field at Winton Motor Raceway today. Jason Bargwanna, 27-year-old from Como in New South Wales, now based down in Victoria. And he's consistently been the fastest man on the track. A 1:25.84 the previous lap, 6.3 seconds the gap over Jason Bright.
Tander has been able to maintain that 3rd position and hold Russell Ingall at bay, but has dropped back considerably. Radicic is in 5th, and Longhurst is 6th. So those guys have had quite an impressive run, but nobody can get near Bargwanna in the remaining lap and a half of this opening race. Now, Mark Scape has got through on Dick Johnson also, so he moves up into 8th. Here's a replay of that incident.
Well, we can see running right around the outside under brakes going into the S's, and you can see Dick. I just wonder if Dick's got a few problems, because that was a big move to go right around the outside there.
Jason Bargwanna begins his final lap.
Well, it's just fantastic to see Bargs rising to the top of the tree. This guy raced a Formula Ford a few years ago, and he did it on absolute minimum amount of money. He used to run on second-hand tyres. It was a real struggle. Then he moved to Formula Holden, showed a lot of raw speed there. To see him now at the top of the V8 Supercar tree, it's very satisfying.
Well, also, too, it's extremely satisfying for the team that have worked so hard. And just think about the Phillip Island round when he completely demolished his car. And they've had to work, they've had their fair share of accidents, and now it is glory time, and we'll be hoping to experience that at the FAI 1000 at Mount Panorama in November. We're all looking forward to that. Of course, Bargwanna did stand on the podium.
They're going to be a very strong driver combination too.
Oh, yeah.
Garth Tander and Jason Bargwanna together. There's so many strong driving combinations up there this year. Picking a winner out of the top 20 is just getting harder and harder.
Apparently they've come up with quite an interesting steering wheel concept to cope with the drastic difference in their heights. But there's only 2 corners left to go. This sequence of S's here, and onto the main straight. Bargwanna takes out race 1 at Winton, and will be delighted. Look at him punching the steering wheel.
He'll be happy about that one, isn't he?
He certainly shows his enthusiasm.
Jason Bright in the Pertec Ford, a very solid second, but quite a ways behind Jason Bargwanna, and the second Valvoline Cummins Commodore in for third. Tander, also a strong drive. Ingle 4th. I think Russell may be slightly disappointed with that. I think he probably would have liked to have been higher. What a drive by this guy, Nathan Pretty, top privateer. He comes across in 7th position. Cameron, we had it all there as Bargwanna is on the cool-down lap.
Very much
I couldn't
so.
believe the amount of cars that went off in the sweeper.
That is amazing. I mean, it really took out sort of a lot of the top 10 there. But also, Bargwanna was lapping so much quicker, really comfortably in the 25s, whereas Tander or Garth was in the 27s towards the end of that race. I'm just not sure whether Garth's looking after his tyres or Jason just has such a big advantage this weekend. But great result for the team and well deserved.
Well, there he is, Mr. Excitement. He'll be just about grabbing the microphone off Mark Osler when he speaks with him. But that was a great drive for the real-life version of Elroy Jetson. He's a happy young guy, and he takes a win in 1999. Bright, Tander, Ingle, Radicic, Longhurst, Nathan Pretty. That was an outstanding drive in the older VS from Scape. Romano, Faulkner, Dick Johnson, Mick Donoher, Stephen Richards worked his way back to 14th. Well, if you can do with a new car, I'm sure Dick can help you out.
Gonna need a gap filler. Gonna need a puddle sucker too. Might also need a Jenny.
And another Sanger.
Whatever you need, Coates Hire has a million pieces of equipment. Call 13 15 52.